Hello, welcome to this panel, Learning How the World Can Reach Drawdown, the evolving work of Drawdown Learn. My name is Dr. Elizabeth Bagley, and I am the Director of Drawdown Learn here at Project Drawdown. At Project Drawdown, we work with a number of fabulous partners to share climate solutions with diverse audiences, and it is our absolute pleasure today to introduce you to some of those partners. We're going to start this panel with an overview of Drawdown Learn, including some teasers about some soon to be released content. We'll be followed up with Deidra from Trane Technologies, and she'll share more about their commitment to climate education. Sean, Nico, and Karla from Intuit will explain their vision for powering prosperity and how our partnership with the Enactus Race for Climate Action encourages youth to design climate solutions that work in their communities. We round out the panel with a discussion between Liz from Ecochallenge.org and Kirsten from Tradewater. It's a seemingly unlikely partnership that brings together a fun and social climate action platform backed by behavioral science with certified carbon offsets. Thanks so much for learning with us today. Hi, my name is Dr. Elizabeth Bagley, and I have the privilege of leading Drawdown Learn, Project Drawdown's educational initiative, where we create and we share resources in order to educate, engage, inspire, and connect people with the most viable climate solutions for their communities. I'd like to start out by inviting you to think about what comes to mind when you think about climate change and global warming. 14,000 people around the world were asked this question in a recent survey, and it might surprise you to know that about 44% of the people surveyed thought about the outcomes of climate change, things like changing weather and melting ice caps. Maybe that was what you were thinking about. 18% of people said that they think about the causes of climate change, things like burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and natural gas. And only 3% of people said anything about solutions. So of those 14,000 people, only 3% mentioned solutions. So if you weren't thinking about solutions when I asked that question, you are definitely not alone. And there is a real opportunity here to start a conversation about climate solutions that we can work together to put into place in our homes, in our communities, in our businesses, and beyond. So in 2021 at Project Drawdown, and specifically as part of Drawdown Learn, we're really going to ramp up our education engagement and engagement focused on solutions. And here's what it's going to look like. It's going to look like the first major initiative of Project Drawdown, specifically, it's going to look like the first major initiative of Drawdown Learn called Climate Solutions 101, presented by Project Drawdown. It will be a series of highly produced videos and supporting materials that dive into the science behind climate solutions. Now, this initiative targets our professional audiences of sustainability leaders, nonprofit leaders, investors, philanthropists, educators in higher education and their students, journalists, and more. The series is hosted by Project Drawdown's executive director, Dr. Jonathan Foley. He's a world-renowned environmental scientist, sustainability expert, author, and public speaker. And the series also includes interviews with these experts who share their insights on the current state of climate solutions. The videos will be freely available on our website, drawdown.org. And we will encourage people to use them kind of as jumping off points for discussions about climate solutions that lead to action. So please, I invite you to visit our website, drawdown.org, to sign up for our newsletter so that you will be the first to know when the series drops early in 2021. People around the world have used the 2017 Drawdown book to explore and implement climate solutions. And we now have updated research and updated framing. Our latest publication is called the Drawdown Review. It's now available in English, in French, and Spanish. And I encourage you to download a free copy, again, at the website drawdown.org. And with the creation of the Drawdown Review, we also created some powerful graphics, and we have them available for free at drawdown.org also. This graphic, for example, illustrates the sources and the sinks of the heat trapping gases in our atmosphere. And this is a graphic of the 3 S's: reducing sources, supporting sinks, and improving society. The 3 interconnected areas for action that we need to pursue globally, simultaneously, and with determination. We've also been hearing from people for a while that they would really love an updated poster showing the climate solutions that we've studied. So we recently completed a two-sided poster showcasing the Project Drawdown framework for climate solutions on one side and the climate solution accelerators on the other side. These will be available on our website soon. And the poster is really a great example of a resource that's useful for multiple audiences, including the climate curious lay public. Now, with that audience, we're taking what we call a storytelling approach, thanks to our latest hire, Matt Scott. Matt comes to Project Drawdown with a rich background in storytelling and engagement, and he's working on ways to connect communities with climate solutions through the power of stories. While Climate Solutions 101 will focus on the science behind climate solutions, our approach for the climate curious lay public will focus on the people and the stories behind climate solutions in order to really educate, engage, inspire, and connect change makers. We're working with a number of partner organizations, many of whom you'll hear from later on in the panel. And these are people and groups who are concerned about climate change and curious about climate solutions. One of our partners in this space is Rotary International's Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group. We're creating a Project Drawdown Ambassador Kit that will be able to be used by Rotarians who want to share knowledge about Project Drawdown with their Rotary clubs all around the world, and then put that knowledge into action. We are also collaborating with ChangeX, an organization that provides blueprints for putting great ideas into place in your community. We are working with ChangeX to create a series of blueprints focused on community level climate solutions that are aligned to the Project Drawdown Climate Solutions Framework. Are you looking for inspiration and a step-by-step guide for putting a climate solution into place in your community? Well, look no further. I invite you to check out ChangeX. Here's an example of their 5-step guide to creating a community composting program. So let's work together to get more community solutions into place around the world. We don't need to start from zero. There's lots of places who are already thinking about these things. Let's start working together. We continue partnering with Ecochallenge.org, the creators of the Drawdown Eco Challenge, and it's a fun and social way to take measurable action on the Project Drawdown climate solutions. You'll hear more about Ecochallenge.org from their executive director a little bit later. And they have a youth-focused version of the challenge now too, which is incredible because we want to make sure that all sorts of audiences can connect with climate solutions. So that brings us to the last audience we focus on at Drawdown Learn, which are educators and youth. And one of the most impactful educators of all time was Fred Rogers. Millions of people over 30 years learned about their neighborhoods from the beloved Mr. Rogers. They learned about the people in their neighborhoods and the ways that the people made the neighborhood great. And we have an opportunity today, in the face of this great transformation, to re-envision and reinvent our neighborhoods. But we can't do that without people in lots of different roles. Climate solutions aren't effective without people in our neighborhoods to put them into action. And we need to play a bit of make-believe, envisioning and creating the future that we want. Now, I'm not planning to don a red sweater anytime soon, but we are starting to focus on finding ways to really build a pathway for youth and for youth to follow and explore climate-ready careers. Our first step into that space was a collaboration with Climate Generation, a leader in climate education. With funding from Trane Technologies and advising from us, Climate Generation created a documentary and an instructional supplement for educators to use with their students. Educators and their students, we know, are looking for high quality educational materials to shift the conversation from climate problems to climate solutions and really inspire a sense of opportunity, possibility, and hope for the future. Now, we took a unique approach and featured 8 green STEM professionals who you see pictured here, and we're introducing youth to careers in the context of climate change solutions. Each career is aligned with a Project Drawdown climate solution, and educators, youth, and community members at large are enjoying this connection to building the new green economy, creating the neighborhoods that we all want to live in. There are lots of other groups working to create climate-ready career pathways, And we're looking forward to working together to support these efforts in 2021. And we know that it takes intention, care, and courage to move solutions forward in ways that heal rather than deepen systemic injustices. And we believe that we have the opportunity and the obligation to co create systems that are safe and equitable, ensuring that both people on the planet can thrive together. So, what can you do? Well, we know that widespread awareness and understanding of climate solutions is vital to kindle agency and affect change worldwide. And the world, our society, and future generations need you to be part of the solutions. So, how do you do that? Well, that's up to you. I hope that this panel and the larger conference will give you some great ideas about ways that you can work towards climate solutions in your life. It might be helpful to ask yourself, what do you want to reach towards? The reality of intervening in a complex system is that no one can do it all. And we all have an opening to show up as problem solvers and change agents and contribute in significant ways, even when we feel small. Together, we can leverage the solutions at hand today to build a bridge from where we are now to the world that we want for ourselves, and most importantly, for generations yet to come. A better path is still possible, and may we turn that possibility into reality. Thanks so much, everybody. It's such a pleasure having you here. And thank you so much for joining us today. We are exploring how education can help the world reach drawdown. And we know that we need to move beyond teaching about the problems caused by climate change and really ramp up education about climate solutions. And that's a problem that is core to the work at Trane Technologies. And it is my pleasure today to have Deirdre Parrish Williams with us. Hi, Deirdre. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi,
And
Bagley.
thank you. I would love, Deirdre, for you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Dr. Bagley. Thank you for including Trane Technologies. Thank you for including me. I really appreciate the invitation. I'll tell you a tiny bit about me. So I'm relatively new to Trane Technologies. I came aboard at the end of October of 2020 at a really exciting time for Trane Technologies, although it's been quite a challenging year for absolutely everyone. There have been some terrific highlights actually for Trane Technologies this year. Trane Technologies had been part of the Ingersoll Rand brand and portfolio for many years. And this March, actually just before the pandemic took hold, there was a divestiture. And so now they're two separate companies, and Trane Technologies has been experiencing this unique and interesting thing in that it's all of a sudden, once again, a startup and in startup mode, so to speak. And so the entire team is imagining what their next chapter is going to look like. They have sort of a blank slate.
Thank you, Deirdre, for kind of giving us that larger picture and the landscape of how things are shifting, especially with corporate social responsibility. And I'm curious about, you are Trane Technologies is a pure climate company. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about what that means for your CSR strategy, and specifically, since we're talking about education on this panel, what that means for your commitment to education.
Sure. So when we say that we're a pure climate company, there was a time, as I mentioned, when Trane Technologies was part of an industrial company with a much broader and more diverse portfolio. Now, today, Trane Technologies is devoted exclusively to climate solutions, and those play out in a couple of environments. It relates to the climate of your home. So we have solutions that are designed for people's homes and maintaining the climate and the environment of your home as healthfully and consistently as possible. And the same is true on the commercial side. We put solutions in hospitals and schools and all sorts of work environments. And then we also have a division of the company, Thermo King, which is probably the best known component of our portfolio, that is responsible for the delivery of foods and medicines and now vaccines too. So when we say a climate company, that's what we mean, that our solutions are all about protecting the integrity of an actual climate, either a space or, well, always a space, either home, a building, or the space that is being used to transport foods. That's all that we do. We are aware, of course, though, that there's an impact on the environment to the production and utilization of our solutions. Um, that's true for any industry. We're aware that there's a negative impact from some of the things that we do, and we're devoted, though, to working in ways, creating technologies for our solutions, both in the production and implementation of them, as well as when a product reaches the end stage of its life cycle and it's got to be pulled out and replaced. There's a responsible way to do that too. So we're devoted to making sure that everything that our products touch, every way that we're manipulating our products, we're doing it in the most responsible way possible. We've actually issued a 2030 challenge for ourselves, a gigaton challenge, which commits us to reducing our emissions by a gigaton over 2030. It's a pretty ambitious challenge. And likewise, we're issuing a challenge on the CSR front. There are a couple of components connected to our CSR strategy, which is brand new. And I will tell this audience that you're getting a little bit of a preview because it hasn't been rolled out publicly yet. There are several components to it, but all of it is anchored around providing entry to the sustainability space, largely for people in marginalized communities, people in underserved communities, and people who typically don't have as much access to this sort of information and education or to the careers. So on the start, I'll say on the start because what we're talking about is trying to introduce these concepts first early on in a student's life, going into classrooms of young students, starting at the K level, to introduce, obviously in age appropriate ways, concepts about sustainability and what that means in their lives. The hope, of course, is to introduce them to a lifelong relationship with these concepts so that they'll become more responsible stewards of the planet. And that includes the way they think about travel, the way they think about setting up their homes, the way they think about food consumption and preservation, all of those things. We want, though, through the Sustainable Futures strategy, to stay with them through life and find touch points to connect with them in high school and in college, and then meet them also at the other end of that pipeline with opportunities and supports to help them navigate into careers in the green and sustainable space. So that's what our strategy looks like. We know, though, that we have to count on talented and devoted nonprofits like you all, like Project Drawdown, in order to make this viable, in order to bring it to life. And we're really grateful to have a partnership with such talented and well-resourced organizations.
Well, I am so excited to watch and be part of your CSR strategy as it unfolds and evolves and just, becomes this real pathway. I think, Deirdre, I'm just excited about thinking through a pathway through and kind of within sustainability, given what you all are interested in, and quite frankly, what the world needs, right? The world needs people who are guiding us to solutions, especially in this particular time that we're living in. So there's a lot on the horizon for Trane Technologies, and I'm just so grateful to your commitment to education and really connecting not only with the youth directly, but also with educators. I'm wondering what you might tell folks about the best ways for them to connect with some of the work, especially the work that you're doing on the CSR front with Trane Technologies. What should they be looking out for? How should they connect?
We are very definitely rooted to the Charlotte, North Carolina community. And the Sustainable Futures Initiative is going to be announced in 2021. And for the foreseeable future, we're really going to be working on going deep in our home market, our US based home market in the Charlotte region. And so for folks who may be interested in figuring out, first of all, what we're up to, I would say to take a close look at what's happening in the Charlotte region in particular. I'm looking to establish collaboratives. So when I describe what we envision for sustainable futures, meaning that we're going to have this relationship that follows folks through, starts early in their life and follows them through, that's going to take coordination. That's going to take partnership from a number of entities. And we are open for conversations from interested and well-positioned partners in the Charlotte area or beyond. We know, as I mentioned earlier, that it's going to require partnership with nonprofits who really are nonprofits and other agencies that are positioned to help us get these things done. Organizations that are accustomed to developing education solutions, like your nonprofits who are equipped to help with developing on ramps for career opportunities and getting people ready for careers in this space. There are lots of touch points along the way, and I'm certainly welcome and interested in talking to people who might be inclined to support that. And then beyond that, once we feel like we've really got the model well oiled and well tuned in Charlotte, we're going to be looking to scale and replicate it in other markets. And we have yet to determine where exactly that will be, but obviously it'll be markets that make sense for our employees and for our business model. So we're really excited about it. And I love being a part of the program today, but hate that we're not there together in person somewhere where we can borrow ideas and inspirations from other folks who may be doing things like what we aspire to do. So I look forward to hearing from our counterparts too, to learn what they've been doing in this space.
Deirdre, we've got lots of great people doing important work, kind of in all different levels of agency, all different sectors, and yeah, a conference like this is just such a great opportunity to come together and share ideas with the hope that we continue to work together and connect in the future. So I'll put that as one call to action for folks to, reach out to someone who got you to think a little bit differently, or an idea that you heard of that sparked some thoughts and some excitement. And Deirdre, I'd love to hear from you. What's an action step, or what's something that you would recommend that people do to support climate solutions moving forward?
The thing I try to get across to people when they're thinking about how to affect our climate is not to think so big, meaning that as an individual, there is something you can do every single day that has a positive impact. And I encourage people to think about it in that way. Do one simple thing. That's sort of my mantra. Do one simple thing. You can do a simple thing every day. Simple things become habits. And obviously habits have the potential to, affect greater impact. Communicate with people, educate yourself. There are things that you can do as a homeowner or as a resident. There are things that you can do in your transportation. There are things that you can do in terms of your food consumption and disposal. There are many, many things that you can do. I would urge you to read, learn what you can. There are things that you can do in terms of the sorts of products you buy, whether it has to do with their packaging or the sorts of things, agents that those packages emit. Learn. There's way more to do than you think there is. It's easier than you think it is. You don't need to be a scientist or somebody with sophisticated knowledge. Everybody has a part to play in this. So I would say learn and do one simple thing.
Deirdre, I'm just gonna underscore, underline, highlight, circle a couple of things that you said. One, straight out of the mouth also of Dr. Catherine Hayhoe at Texas Tech. She talked about one of the most impactful things we can all do is to talk about climate, right? So that the more that we talk about it, the more likely we are to have it top of mind and to actually do something about it. So even what seems like such a simple step, and it can be really simple, talking about something is so critically important, right? Like we ensuring that our communities are thinking about climate and climate solutions as we think about resilience and building the structure and foundation and strength of our communities. And I just so appreciate thinking about learning, and especially that we don't all have to be climate scientists in order to plug in and work on climate solutions. I mean, at Trane Technologies, you have people working on all sorts of different solutions, ensuring, for one thing, that refrigerants are not leaking and are not going into our atmosphere and trapping the heat as they do so well. And I just really appreciate giving, especially giving young people, the lens into different ways of putting solutions into action through their careers. Like, what are the climate ready careers and the climate ready career pathway that we all can follow? Lots and lots of different ways, from, your background as a journalist to being your current role in CSR, right? Like, folks to be thinking about, hey, maybe they might want to work in corporate social responsibility as a climate solution, which is really an impactful place to be. So with all of that, Deirdre, I am so grateful to you, to Trane Technologies, to all the work that you're doing in the climate space. Thank you for joining us today. Do you have any last words for the audience?
I thank you for the opportunity to participate. Really looking forward to hearing from them. We all have so much to learn. So I'll be tuning in to listen and learn. I encourage folks to get in touch. I really would love to share ideas with folks afterwards. But no, all the best. Wishing you guys a great conference.
Thanks for inviting us. I'm Sean Kinghorn. I'm the head of global sustainability at Intuit, and I've been at the company for about 7 years.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karla Readshaw, and I manage our career readiness programs here at Intuit that focus on preparing students for the future of work. Our programs bring real-world experiences to students through design thinking and sustainability-focused programming, empowering youth to develop 21st century skills as they address real problems in their community.
My role here at Intuit is a little bit different. So I manage all of our career readiness programming externally. So I know you guys think of Intuit as a tech company, but we also support students, teachers, and educators in preparing the next generation of workers.
Nico, one thing that I really appreciate about what you said is that, we are the people alive at this time in history, and we get to write the future, right? We are the people who are writing the next chapter of life on Earth. And one of the things that you're doing so well with your education work is creating those pathways and figuring out ways to connect youth to meaningful careers, and especially climate ready careers. So I'm just really, really grateful for the work you do in that space. I'm wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about, why climate ready careers? Why is that a focus in the education space at Intuit?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So first, we want to kind of give a little bit of a background around Intuit. So, for those of you who are not familiar with Intuit, we're the company that makes, TurboTax, QuickBooks, Mint. We're a financial services tech software company, but we have a bold mission, and our mission is powering prosperity around the world. And really, that last piece requires a world to live in. And so for us, we want to make sure, our customers, our business only thrives if people are thriving, if businesses are thriving, and we have a planet and a great place to live. And so for us, Sean, Karla, and myself, we're all part of Intuit's corporate responsibility team. And really, our focus is around making sure that the world is a place where people can thrive and they can work, and they can design the lives and the jobs and the futures that they want. And sustainability, education, careers are really an integral piece of our strategy.
Thank you, Nico. And I want to underscore for people watching too that, this is Intuit's corporate responsibility team, or part of the corporate responsibility team. And so for those of you who are trying to figure out what you might want to do in your career to focus on climate and potentially climate education, there are companies who have corporate responsibility teams who care about this kind of stuff. So what a really fabulous kind of career ready space for people to explore. And if you don't want to do that kind of work yourself, connecting with the corporate responsibility teams where you work could actually be a great next step also. So given corporate responsibility, Sean, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you're thinking as a team about sustainability in general as it relates to Intuit and your goals.
Sure. So Intuit last year, we launched a new climate positive goal. Historically, we've done a great job of shrinking our own footprint, over time, but we really took a hard look at the data that Drawdown provides to the world and said, no one's moving fast enough, and we have so much more potential influence and impact if we think creatively. So we thought about looking outside the four walls of our company where we have bigger influence. And so we launched a new climate positive goal last year called 50x by 30, committing to reducing greenhouse gas emissions in the broader world 50 times greater than our own footprint. And we're going to do that in 10 years. And so as part of that strategy, there's four pillars to that: employees, customers, communities, and partners. And that fourth pillar is really strategic in how we can partner with other outside stakeholders and be a catalyst to draw down emissions, or be a catalyst for small businesses or startups that are focused on climate and helping them accelerate. And so we're going to talk now more about the education team and how we're partnering together on working with outside stakeholders and using education to be a catalyst for climate action.
Sean, that is so exciting. I'm just so thrilled that your team's moving in that direction. And I think, all of us know that the weight of the world and of the climate future doesn't rest on any one person's shoulder, but we need to work with partners in all different places. And this might, to some folks, look like kind of an unlikely partnership, but we want to bring people together with similar goals so that we can move faster together, right? So I think that's one really exciting thing about this partnership. Nico, I'd love to ask you a little bit more about kind of your education strategy and the intersection of the education strategy with sustainability.
Yeah, great. So for me and for our team, we went on this education journey a couple of years ago to really figure out how we can best support career readiness education, job readiness skills. And what we found is that there are certain skills like design thinking or different tech skills that students need. Entrepreneurship being another key skill, and being able to create their own job. But what we realize is that students, in the 21st century, they're purpose maximizers. They're values driven, and so we found that by kind of marrying purpose driven education and future career skills together, we create this impact that excites students to accelerate their growth. So we talk to Sean, and sometimes I like to call it the Avengers model, or Intuit, we have a value called better together. And so I like to think about Sean as like, I don't think Captain Planet is an Avenger, but Sean's our Captain Planet. And we try and get together and think about, all right, let's take design thinking and a project that could be about starting a business, but what if that business was for social good? And what we found was that students get way more excited about putting a ding in the world that way for social good than they do about becoming the next Steve Jobs or Elon Musk. It's really not as exciting as really making a positive impact on the world. And so that's what we started doing, was finding ways, how can we work with Sean? How can we work with a group like Project Drawdown? How can we make social impact while also teaching students the skills that they need when they graduate?
We should have worn our Avengers costumes today, folks. Next time, we'll have to dress up in our Avengers costumes, everybody. Oh my gosh. Well, I love the direction you're going in. And Karla, I would love to hear more about the partnership that you're really leading with Enactus and the Race for Climate Action. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Sure, happy to. So one example of what we are doing towards powering prosperity around the world and addressing issues around sustainability and around education through our corporate responsibility programs is through our partnership with Project Drawdown and Enactus. Now, what's really cool about this partnership is that it brings together four key players. We have job readiness and sustainability within Intuit, as well as youth entrepreneurship education. And then finally, we brought in the global leader in climate solutions, all coming together to inspire the next generation to bring about real change within their own community and the world. Now, a little bit about this partnership. So Enactus is a global entrepreneurship education organization that we have teamed up with to launch this Race for Climate Action. Now, this race will challenge college students globally to create sustainability solutions designed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And what makes this partnership so impactful is not only the scale. I mean, with Enactus, there are 72,000 students across 37 countries annually who participate. But we are doing something really innovative through the collaborative race that's led by Intuit. Not only are we making strides towards our job readiness and positive impact on climate goals, but we integrated our version of design thinking into the curriculum. So students are challenged to actually leverage this innovative process as they come up with their solutions. In addition, we brought in Project Drawdown. Now, they are the global leader in climate action to develop a masterclass on climate solutions so that students can be educated on the breadth of possibilities out there for tackling greenhouse gas emissions. This is what we're supporting in the realm of climate action. And there are a number of ways that students can get involved, both through learning about climate action, such as accessing resources from Drawdown Learn, and how they can help and make strides towards improving the world for our future.
That is incredible. I'm so excited to see where the Enactus Race for Climate Action goes. As Karla mentioned, it recently launched and already has loads of people interested from all around the world. And Sean, can you remind me, when does it wrap up? When is the final unveiling of the projects for the Race for Climate Action?
Yeah, so there's certain tiers to it. I believe in the April time period, and Karla, you can correct me, is they narrow it to about 48 teams, and then over the summer, it's the final 12. The announcement of the final 4 and the winner is going to be next fall in the Netherlands, if that event still happens. But I think right now we have over 170 projects, and we have over 130 teams signed up. Our goal was 100 projects, so we've already exceeded that during the time of COVID. So we're pretty ecstatic about the turnout of, and the students being excited about it.
Oh my gosh, way to go, team. That is some incredible work and support going into that. Hey, Nico, I'm wondering, if people, they might not be able to sign up for the Enactus Race for Climate Action right now. I mean, I think it's great for people to know about it, but what would you encourage people to do if they're interested in this kind of thinking and kind of pushing the envelope when it comes to education and climate action?
Yeah, that's something that people sometimes they give up before they start. And there's a couple things. One is that with Intuit, one thing that we're trying to do is we're not necessarily trying to make 100,000 climate experts, but a bunch of people that are willing to make a small difference in their community or in their company or at their school. Do one small thing. And for us, we always talk about having this bias towards action. So how do you take what you know and do something small to test it out, to see, can I take this skill that I have or this knowledge that I know, and can I apply it in the next 48 or 24 hours to see if there's something there. So what I would recommend is that I would recommend all of you that are listening is think about what's that positive impact that you want to have? What's that skill or passion that's within you, and what can you do with your neighbor, with your school, with the company you work for, or a company in town, to think about how can I make one small positive change to positively impact the effects of climate change. And it's as simple as that, is making one small thing. We always talk about setting the bar low, and I know that sounds a little counterintuitive, but you don't have to make this grand gesture. You don't have to create the next Enactus challenge. You could create the next challenge at your local middle school, and kids are going to thank you for it, and it'll be so exciting. It'll be rewarding for you, rewarding for the community, and that's what we're hoping as we spark that change with other organizations. And we hope, that Intuit, this is no longer going to be something that is, different or out of the ordinary. We're hoping that companies all over the world join together to think about how can they do something like this and think outside the box for greater good.
I so appreciate your leadership in this space and really thinking outside the box, like pushing the envelope, being like, okay, you know what? Let's set this big goal. Let's come up with these pillars and let's find the partners who can really help us make a difference and move towards action. You all are so inspiring, and I'm really grateful for the work that you do. Thank you so much to the corporate responsibility team from Intuit. We had Sean, Karla, and Nico with us today. Thank you for sharing your incredible expertise. We are so grateful for you. Thanks everybody for attending.
My name is Liz Zavodsky. I am with Ecochallenge.org. I currently serve as the executive director for this nonprofit organization. I've been here for almost 10 years now, and I'm very excited about the work that we're doing and the partnership we have with you.
Thanks, Liz. We're so glad you're here, and thanks for telling us about your journey at ecochallenge.org. Kirsten, tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Sure. Again, thank you so much for having us. My name is Kirsten Love. I am the Director of Market Development at Tradewater. Been with Tradewater for about a year, and very excited to be here and talk about the wonderful partnerships that we've been able to develop over the last year.
Thanks so much, Kirsten. So I'm going to actually keep it with Kirsten for a minute, and I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about your work. What do you do at Tradewater? What is that organization? And who's your audience? What are your goals? Like, what's your mission? Give us a little bit more about Tradewater, please.
Definitely. So Tradewater is a mission-based company. We are a project development firm that is focused on the collection and destruction of some of the most potent greenhouse gases ever created. We focus in on old refrigerants that were actually banned in the Montreal Protocol from production, but have no end-of-life solution. So we go around the world and we collect these cans and cylinders of old refrigerants in all quantities, large and small, in an effort to make sure that they are destroyed responsibly and do not leak into our atmosphere. The greenhouse gases that we collect in the form of these refrigerants are not only greenhouse gases, but also ozone depleting substances. So they accelerate climate change, and we are hoping to prevent a climate crisis through the collection and destruction of them.
I have to say, I don't know that, well, before I joined Project Drawdown, I have to say, I didn't know that refrigerants existed. I mean, I'm glad they exist because they help keep our homes cool. They help keep our food cool, but I really didn't know a whole lot about them. And so, one of the things for those of you watching, we're going to talk a little bit about how the three of us coming together and more folks are really bringing more of this knowledge to the public. So with that, Liz, tell us a little bit about why you're part of this panel. Like, what is ecochallenge.org doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. Ecochallenge.org has been around since 1993, and we are a nonprofit, and it's our goal to inspire behavior change and taking new actions. And we want to bring people into the environment and social justice issues to learn more about solutions and actions that we can take to make the world a more sustainable place. And so through learning about the work that Tradewater is doing and the research that Drawdown has been doing, we've been able to use our platform, our Ecochallenge platform, to bring people together to learn about refrigerants, to learn about the research that Drawdown has done, and to take action that's meaningful and tangible that's going to actually reach our climate goals. So where it's all about behavior change, it's all about knowing that individual action matters, and it adds to that collective impact that we all have when we all take action together, that we can really shift systems and move the needle to make a difference.
That's incredible. I think, what I find really interesting about the group of us right now on this panel is that we're all working towards climate solutions, but from slightly different angles. So Kirsten, would you mind telling us a little bit about why all of us are on this call today? What's a little bit of the history that brought us together?
Yeah, it's actually funny, when you sit back and think about it, there's so many people working on this big problem, and it's definitely required. Like, we get further faster together. And so it's really important for us to find these relationships and partnerships that allow us to achieve this work and to prevent a climate crisis. So a little bit about the history of how we got here. Where to start. So I'll actually take it back to Intuit, which is another partner on this this call and on this panel. Intuit actually learned about refrigerants. As you mentioned, refrigerants are not something that are top of mind for a lot of people, but he learned, a partner there learned about the work through reading Project Drawdown. And then reached out to us as one of the only firms that are going around and collecting these refrigerants around the world. And from there, we developed a partnership and were able to expand internationally with our collection efforts. And he became a thought partner. Sean Kinghorn became a thought partner with us in our process and how do we grow this. And so we had a crazy idea to create a platform to engage individuals. It sounds very similar to what Liz just explained. And Sean said, hey, let me connect you with Elizabeth Bagley at Drawdown. She may have some ideas for you. We connected with you, Elizabeth, who then connected us with Liz at Ecochallenge. And it was more of a situation of why create the wheel? We already have people out here who have figured this out. And what we really liked about Ecochallenge is that it was taken from a deeply behavior change perspective, not just let's spit a bunch of facts at you, but let's figure out a way that's really going to engage you and encourage you to take different action in what you're doing every day. So that partnership formed from that kind of telephone tree of, hey, we have an idea, we're all trying to solve this problem. How can we best do it? And let's just broaden our network and our partnerships to get it done faster.
I love that so much, Kirsten. And I love the unlikely partnerships that we're seeing here, right? Like there's room for everybody to step up and step into the climate solution space. And part of that is having conversations and being curious and wanting to learn more and figuring out, who's doing something in a particular area and how might we be able to use Kirsten's incredible phrasing, move further, faster together. So Liz, I'd love to toss it to you. How are you doing that? Like what is that looking like right now with ecochallenge.org and Tradewater? What are you working on?
We're really excited about working with Tradewater and showcasing and elevating their work on our Drawdown Eco Challenge. So in partnering with Drawdown, we were able to create Drawdown Eco Challenge, which is drawdown.ecochallenge.org, and the platform where you can take tangible actions around the research that Drawdown has done. And now we're working with Tradewater to bring in the actions that they desire for people to learn about and to take, and to really highlight the work that they're doing to show that individuals can get involved in this, that we as individuals can care about refrigerants and we can take action around refrigerants. Maybe it's about a learning action that we're learning more, or it's a way that we can tangibly go and get involved in their work on a deeper level. So we're really excited about 2021 featuring their work a little bit more within this platform and the larger picture of Drawdown itself.
Oh my gosh, thanks so much, Liz. So, what I'd love for us to kind of wrap up with is hearing from both of you about, one action that you would love for all of the attendees of this conference to move forward and kind of take with them today. So, Kirsten, why don't you start? Why don't you help us launch into that?
Oh, just one. That's hard. There's so many things that we can all be doing. I would say that in fighting and looking for different climate solutions, I would ask that you find your space and the one way that you're going to help. I think there's a number of opportunities and resources out there. Ecochallenge provides a lot of them. As it relates to Tradewater, you can go to our website and use our calculator, understand what your personal carbon footprint is and how you might be able to take steps to reduce it. And then once you've reduced what you can, look into offsetting the rest and supporting projects that remove harmful greenhouse gases from our atmosphere or from being released into our atmosphere so that we have a fighting chance in saving our planet.
Thanks, Kirsten. How about you, Liz?
The one action that I would ask people to take today is to go to drawdown.ecochallenge.org. And the reason why I want people to go there is because that is where there's a huge directory and library of actions that you can take, that you can learn more about, that you can explore. So if this is something that's new to you, it's a great starting place. And if it's something that you're familiar with, it's a good starting place to take a deeper dive and to engage a little bit more. So that would be my one action. Go explore drawdown.ecochallenge.org and then sign up, do a little bit more.
And to bring that piece back together, we can move further, faster together. And we're so grateful for this team of folks who have formed an unlikely partnership to move climate solutions forward together. And we're excited to hear from all of you in the audience about how you're putting climate solutions into action all around the world today. Thank you so much to both Kirsten and to Liz for taking the time today to chat with us. We are so grateful for all the work you do. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.